Homelessness is not just a metro area problem. Loveland's been struggling for months since city leaders there closed the only overnight shelter for adults. Tonight, though, a new plan. Thanks for being with us. I'm Kyle Clark.
And I'm Kim Christensen. Currently, city code requires shelter space be available before police can enforce a ban on camping in public spaces. An ordinance that would have removed that shelter requirement failed back in August. Weeks later, the city shut down the South Railroad facility, the city's only overnight shelter for adults. In the months since, the city has opened up the Loveland Resource Center and put up tents outside of it. But that's only permitted through mid-March.
Tonight, City Council is talking about changing their camping ban and potentially opening a new shelter. 9 News reporter Shalima Maharaj is up in Loveland with the details. Shalima?
Good evening. Yeah, Loveland City Council has been grappling with this issue for some time. And on the agenda tonight, of course, changes to be made to the Loveland Municipal Code. So, for instance, what you mentioned, so the shelter won't have to be offered before police enforce the public camping ban. A fairly recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling allows them to do that. Now, that is still up for discussion right now. We have a lot of people who are entering their own public comments right now, a lot of opinions being given. The second, of course, is freeing up cash to purchase a warehouse in Northwest Loveland to serve as a resource center and overnight shelter. Now, this is all dependent on the city finding a nonprofit to operate the site. There is a request for proposal, also known as an RFP, out now, and that closes in a couple of days. Now, the price tag over $2.8 million, and more than 96% of the cost would come from capital expansion fees, and the rest would be from the general fund. A lot of people here showing up with their own opinions.
Criminalization forces people experiencing homelessness to simply move from one public area to another.
I don't understand why you want to just continue to move the problem, right? Because whatever you guys are doing right now, it isn't working. So just buying another building and moving it to spread out throughout the city is not working. You guys need to come together and figure out how you can fix it, what you're doing right now, and make changes instead of just buying more businesses and spreading it around.
We cherish the peaceful area. We cherish the cleanliness of that area. We don't want to see it overrun by vandalism. We don't want to see it overrun by safety concerns, health concerns.
Now, if the city does go through with the purchase of this new warehouse, they would then look to sell the Loveland Resource Center, and proceeds from that sale would then go back to the general fund. And just a reminder, in 2024, that was purchased for about $410,000. Now, of course, this is just a first reading. It would also have to go to a second and final reading to get approval. Live in Loveland, Shalima Maharaj, 9 News.
We are in for one more day of unseasonably warm and dry weather, and then finally a change. Let's talk with meteorologist Kathy Sabin about that. I mean, at this point, we are so thirsty, right? That it's just like, I don't know, can we get an inch of snow? Can we get an inch of rain? Can we get anything?
That's exactly what we're hoping for, and that is what we think will happen with this incoming storm that will bring a mountain snowfall starting Wednesday and snow that could start in Denver Thursday and go right through the morning drive on Friday. We're still tracking this flow of the cold air, and we need it to get cold so that we can get that accumulating snow here, and the ingredients are definitely there. Today, another day with critical fire weather, highs in the upper 50s. We'd cool back to the low and mid 40s now, but not entirely calm out there. Still seeing some gusty winds over some of those higher passes tonight. The storm still upstream to the north and west, diving down across the Great Basin into the Four Corners area. It's dry tonight. It's dry tomorrow. We start to see some mountain snow late tomorrow, and that snow looks to move into Denver possibly on Thursday and could be an impact for the Thursday morning drive and also the Friday morning drive. It's going to pull in some cold air, and the models have been all over the place in that 1 to 4-inch range for snowfall for Denver, slightly higher amounts to the west and to the south. Temperatures will be trending colder. Overnight will be in the mid-30s tonight, but it is, well, late Wednesday into Thursday that we really think things are going to start to come together. Coming up, we'll have much more on the timing and the snow amounts for the metro area on Thursday.
Just as the state of Colorado is pledging to fix a problem with its parole system, the folks who run that system are cutting off your ability to know if they are living up to their pledge.
This follows a year-long series of reports by 9 News Investigates that found the State Department of Corrections is routinely judging the risk levels of as many as 8,000 people currently on parole. Investigative reporter Chris Vanderveen has more on a decision to restrict access to what once were public records.
That's yours if you want it.
Let's talk about how we did this, starting here.
You got a parole warrant that came out after our warrant.
For 1 year, whenever prosecutors charged a parolee following a high-profile crime,
What's your name, man?
we asked for and received body camera recordings, police reports, and critically, what are known as risk assessments.
You know you have a warrant, right? Yeah.
Within the dozens of assessments we examined, we found this: risk scores for each, low, medium, or high. Basically, insight into how likely the state considered each to reoffend while on parole.
Without assessment, we're just sort of throwing darts at a dartboard.
Brian Lovins helped design the very assessments Colorado uses. He told us if you're going to assess parolees for risk, you better do it correctly.
In the hands of people who aren't doing it well, it could actually really have a negative impact on their ability to make communities safe and help people change.
Near the start of our investigation, the state's Department of Corrections told us we weren't likely to find problems considering DOC maintains quality assurance practices to ensure assessments are completed correctly. It was a statement that didn't make a lot of sense. The more we looked, we found errors on nearly all of the assessments we received. Errors that we now know helped turn some high-risk prisoners into low-risk parolees.
You on parole right now?
Yeah.
Are you? Okay. We on parole for?
DUI, actually.
Oh, okay.
Parolees like August Romero, arrested and sentenced repeatedly, and yet still found to be low risk to reoffend just 8 days before a murder in Westminster. Late last year, DOC admitted our reporting had identified a critical issue, as it added the inaccuracies uncovered are unacceptable. It even did its own review of assessment scores and found a 98% error rate in individual parolee assessment scores.
I would say the work that 9 News has done certainly has highlighted the fact that there is a problem.
State Representative Matt Soper says he now finds it concerning.
That's the detail we get on the 7 sections now.
Come on.
Seriously.
Wow.
Concerning that only now, just as DOC is finally admitting to what it calls an unacceptable problem with its assessment scoring, only now is it also shutting off the public's access, and thus ours as well, to the very documents we used to discover the problem in the first place. Citing copyright protections of the company that sells the state the assessments, DOC first elected to give us only a summary of the scores. No detail, just this, a summary. More recently, again citing the copyright issue, it said disclosure is no longer warranted of any assessment score.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that they would hide behind U.S. copyright law to prevent us from solving a problem. That has a chilling effect on public safety, and it means that we can't see what the problem is if it's being blocked by a third-party vendor's copyright claims.
One of the cases we wanted to look into, a parolee now accused of murdering an 83-year-old woman inside her home late last year. We asked for his assessments, just as we did for a year. This time, DOC told us no. Chris Vanderveen, 9 News.
It's still not clear what's causing the repeated errors on the risk assessments, but the consequences are stark when it comes to getting them wrong. Low-risk parolees are supervised less and drug tested less often by significant amounts compared to high risk.
The Trump administration says it is withholding roughly $10 billion in funding meant to help low-income families in 5 Democrat-led states, including Colorado. They are citing fraud without providing evidence. The Trump administration says about $7 billion for the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program, or TANF, is going to be frozen. That provides cash assistance and job training for parents living in poverty. The freeze would also affect more than $2 billion for the Child Care Development Fund. That subsidizes daycare for low-income households. Democrats in Colorado call this another example of political retribution by the president. President Trump has promised, quote-unquote, harsh measures against Colorado for not releasing Tina Peters from prison. She's Trump's ally who's serving 1 year of a 9-year sentence for leading a breach into election systems. Colorado's leaders say they have not received formal notice about a funding freeze or any proof of fraudulent payments here. A spokesperson for Democratic Governor Jared Polis said his office only learned about the freeze through media reports. Netherlands taking a major step in its plan to buy a ski resort.
Tonight, the town's Board of Trustees unanimously voted to approve the purchase of Eldora. There are still few things that need to be worked out. 9 News reporter Rachel Kraus joins us, though. And Rachel, this has been in the works for a long time.
Yeah, tonight the trustees say they've been working on this since August of 2024. Now they need to approve the bonds to pay for it and finalize an agreement with the current owners, and it'll be a done deal. The deal is expected to cost the town of Nederland between $115 and $120 million. The town says it's planning to use revenue bond funds to buy Eldora so it won't have to raise sales taxes or property taxes or put the town on the line for repayment. Instead, they say the ski resort's revenues will pay to keep it going, and the transition from its current owners, Powder, over to Nederland will take time, over 2 years. And they're still working on an agreement between Ned and Powder on how they'll support things moving forward. Once it's done, Eldora's hundreds of employees will become town employees. Town leaders and trustees tonight say this has been a massive enterprise for their town and an exciting investment for Ned's future.
It has been a colossal effort, and I just, looking at it to get to this point is really cool. So I'll be voting yes tonight.
The sale is contingent on being able to get the permits needed from the U.S. Forest Service because the ski resort is on federal land and on it being able to stay on the Icon Pass. The bond is the last step in the sale with a vote expected on the 20th. Rachel Kraus, 9 News.
The town of Telluride says if the ski patrol strike there stretches into another week, that community is at risk of an economic crisis. The strike started December 27th. The resort closed the same day. It partially reopened yesterday with very limited terrain. They're fighting over money. The Ski Patrollers Union says that their workers cannot afford to live in the area. The resort says they want too much money. So while they continue to talk about a new contract, businesses around town are struggling. The town says businesses have been laying off employees, pausing benefits, and reducing their operating hours. Town leaders say they want to help, but assistance for businesses is going to be limited.
While obviously we're, by and large, a wealthier community, we just don't have those kind of reserves. Even small businesses like mine are looking at losses in the tens of thousands of dollars.
The town says there is help for people to pay their rent. There's a Good Neighbor Fund that's offering grants of $2,500 for rental assistance for people who live or work in San Miguel County.